Joining us now, he's a good friend of the show. He's, of course, head coach at Virginia Tech, fresh off an ACC championship, a trip to the Super Regionals, an incredible year for the Hokies. I speak of Pete Demore, who joins us here on In the Circle. Coach, how you doing?
Good, brother. Good to see you again. Happy New Year.
Hey, happy New Year to you too. How did the fall go for your team? Obviously, fresh off another great season. What was the fall like?
Somewhat a transition for us. We lost quite a few good players from our team last year and brought in six or so freshmen and just trying to get acclimated and those kids up to speed and then just see how are we going to you'll never replace a kid like Mackenzie Lauder or Darby or Keeley. You don't replace them. It's just who's going to be in that spot, So that was what the message was this fall.
When you reflect on last year, when during the offseason, 46 wins, the ACC regular season, what comes to your mind?
Just a bunch of good kids. I never really thought about how well we were playing last year. It's just not my mindset. But when you look back on the year, and I told the kids when they came back, I mean, number one in RPI for some time. Number one. I mean, it doesn't get better than that. And the rankings top five for most of the year, and number two, and receiving votes for the number one spot. It was just a good year as when you look back, and there was really nothing. Obviously, you want to go to Oklahoma City, but there was no, you just lost. Let's just try to pick up the pieces and let's try to do better this year. So there's only one team that was happy at the end of last year, and regardless if you're Oklahoma City or hosting Super Regionals, I was proud of our players, and just let's try to keep this thing going.
For the returners, do you sense a chip on the shoulder when they came back? As far as you hosted the Supers, how it ended. Does that bring a little extra motivation that you were that close to OKC?
I see motivation. I don't know if chip on a shoulder, us being disrespected, any of that is the case. Definitely motivated. I haven't seen a letdown as far as quote unquote we've arrived. We're good. We're just going to show up and play. That's not the. I don't let that happen here. So they came back in really good softball shape. We started yesterday, and they're ready to work, which is you got to keep doing that. You got to work and have good chemistry to put yourselves in a position like we were last year.
You're going to get asked a lot between now and the start of maybe during the season, early in the season, which is obviously Keely Richard, which you don't. I'm not going to ask you how you replace Keely Richard because you don't replace great players like Keely Richard. That's always a bad media question that we always tend to ask. I want to first ask you about her. What is she up to now moving forward and the legacy that she's left Virginia Tech?
Well, I think she's getting married in June. I think I believe she's in the Williamsburg area, Richmond area, giving lessons, and I think she's going to play another year in the pro league. The cool thing about Keeley was we got recognized, one of the football games at halftime this year, and one of the traditions at football games is a former player comes in and leads the cheer to get the fans all pumped up before the football team runs out. And Keeley came up and she got on the field, and I've been to a lot of football games, and she had probably the biggest ovation I've heard from a former player, and that was just it was really neat to see a softball player getting recognized like that. It was she's on the Mount Rushmore of Virginia Tech softball for sure. So yeah, you're right. You don't replace her, but that's the beauty of college athletics. We got 4 years with her, in the COVID year, we got an extra year with Keeley, and we're thankful for that. And just hopefully keep moving on.
Well, and you just mentioned it, that ovation that she got. She transcended the program. She brought a lot of people that maybe weren't interested in softball into interested in softball. Very few athletes have that natural. I mean, Angela Tincher was another one that did that for the program many years ago, and I think Keely's in that category.
Yeah, I think so. Obviously Angela Tincher was the gold standard for Virginia Tech softball, but as far as my era here, I guess Keely is it. And so and I've had that in Chelsea at Mizzou, and she was our claim to fame, so to speak. And everybody's measured by Chelsea when we were coached there at Mizzou, and now just in my time at VT, I mean, everybody's going to be measured by Keely.
Now, last year you had Emma Lemley, who stepped in there and really helped Keeley out and formed a powerful 1-2 punch. Speak to her, what you've seen from her this fall, and as she kind of in a way carries that mantle there. I'm sure Keeley passing the torch to her as one of the leaders on the pitching staff.
Well, you had mentioned something about a chip on your shoulder about 5 minutes ago. Lemley has that. I think she felt, right or wrong, a little bit ganged up on last year. To me, we'll see her this fall. She's throwing better, and she's a better pitcher now than she was last spring, which is good for Virginia Tech softball. She had a hell of a year last year, and with all that she went through, and she came back and she had a couple innings with the national team, and she's got the chip on her shoulder. I will say that she's got something to prove to a lot of people this year, and I like what I see out of her so far.
She was just a freshman last year. She's coming in her second year, but yet feels like she's a veteran. You mentioned considering all the obstacles, we'll call it, that she went through last year with how she, her mechanics and everything being dissected. Do you sense that that could pay off for her now long term? You mentioned the chip on the shoulder, but there isn't any adversity that she won't see that she hasn't gone through. I would have imagined moving forward.
No, no, she like you said, she had a lot of stuff on her plate last year, but she also had big game experience as a freshman. I mean, she threw in the super regional. She's thrown in a regional. She's pitched at Florida State, She's pitched at Clemson. I mean, she's I don't like the word battle tested, but she went through a couple of challenging times last year, and I think she's better for it. And it's better. You want a freshman to have those experiences, so when the Keeleys of the world do graduate, I mean, they're ready to for their own spotlight.
A year ago at this time, people maybe nationally didn't know who Emma Lemley was. They just knew about Keeley. Now it's kind of the opposite. People know who Emma is, but they may not know your other pitchers. Who are the other pitchers that step in and on this opportunity here to maybe step up and help your team and form that depth that you had last year?
Yeah, I think we look at Lindsey Grind. She's a freshman from the Chicago area, similar to Lemley as far as pitch type and demeanor. The kid wants the ball, and that's, if you're looking for an intangible from a pitcher, do they want to be out there and do they compete? That's what I look for. And you have to have stuff, and everybody has stuff, but do they battle? And Grind does. She's got not the turtle aspect that Lemley has, but we'll see what her alter ego is, because she does have one. And she came out, and we played a Division I team this fall, and 6 strikeouts and 4 innings, and for just being here for like a month and a half, that was pretty impressive. So that's one player, one pitcher we're looking forward to seeing, and I guess our secret weapon this year is Bree Peck, and she was our third baseman last year as a freshman, and she was Gatorade Player of the Year in Pennsylvania as a high school player, and you're talking about a kid that throws 65 to 67, long, lanky, throws hard, competes. I mean, we just didn't need her last year, and so we're looking forward to seeing her throw too.
Is she going to be like a two-way player for you? Pitch when you need her to pitch, and then when she's not pitching, she's at third base. Is that how you
Um,
envision it?
yeah, I mean, she's going to be. Got to have her bat in the lineup somewhere, and so we're trying to figure that out the next month of where she will be when she's not pitching. But she had 340 and 11 bombs as a freshman. I mean, that's a pretty good year. So we need her bat in the lineup, but I mean, she can pitch, and she's good.
It's it's a great luxury to have a player like that that can help you on both sides of the ball there, from a pitching standpoint, from an offensive standpoint. It's good to see that still exists in the game.
It's rare, and you know why it's so rare is those kids, you have to work equally hard at both.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't just show up and I'm going to hit today and then I'm going to take a week off and pitch. No, you have to work at both equally as hard. And Bree's been able to do that, and so we'll keep doing it.
Offensively, last year you hit 315 as a team, with 66 home runs. I remember we spoke a year ago. You said you wanted your offense to take that next step. Do you feel that it took that next step, that where you like it, or do you still think there's room there as far as the level of your offense?
I thought we had a good year offensively last year. You look at uh, conference stats, we did okay. We did above average. There's still room to improve. you got a team that's sitting at the top of everybody's list right now that hit 150 home runs last year. And so to nickel and dime a team and beat a team like that, I don't think you can single them to death anymore. But I'm not all in with the home run. Let's just hit balls hard. Let's see if we can hit line drives, medium fly balls, and see where it goes. But I'd like to see a little bit more power this year. I think we have the ability to do that. Um, but we lost Darby and Mack in the starting lineup, and so we'll see who picks up the slack with them.
Yeah. You mentioned obviously Bree Peck. Obviously, that was offensively there. Emma Ritter. Just talk about the returners offensively and their growth there, because I mean they put up good numbers as you mentioned, and they were still. I forget, some of these players were still young last year.
Right. Right. Yeah, you got Ritter, you got Peck, you've got Jamie Bailey who turned it on in the second half last year. I think Bennett will be back to her normal self. I mean, Kelsey Bennett, you forget about her, how good of
Yeah.
a player she is. Brownie's still back. Morgan Overitis was second team all conference last year. Addie Green, she's swinging the bat as well as anybody on our team. You had Meredith Slaw, I think, was second team all conference last year. I think I just said Fagan. I mean, you always overlook Fagan too, and she's a hell of a player. And the rankings come out, and you're trying to tell me she's not top 100 player in the country. I mean, okay. So yeah, just we got a lot of firepower. And I told the girls, um, our first practice, I'm already losing sleep over lineups. Already losing sleep. If you have 9 slots that can hit, and you have 15 hitters, 20 hitters, you know, wait your turn if you don't have it. And that's the I guess the challenge for me right now is who's going to be the starting 9.
That's a good problem to have. It sounds like you like the depth that you have there. That's always
I
good to
do.
have options.
Yeah, and you forget about like a Rachel Castine didn't get a lot of at bats last year, but she can hit, and we got two or three freshmen that really swing the bat well. I mean, Tegan Thrunk is a really good shortstop, and Kylie Aldridge is a catcher, and this fall she was probably the most pleasant surprise as far as an offensive standpoint goes. I mean, the kid was just unbelievable. So we got some options this year.
How do you feel about your defense as far as how it's lining up?
Yeah, I like it. That's the thing with, if Lemley's throwing and she's getting a lot of strikeouts. I mean, can we stay engaged infield wise? And Bennett's going to play short and third, and Tegan's there at short, and Fagan's better than she was last year. Jamie's as good a defensive first baseman as anybody. I've never really worried about my outfield here. I mean, we've been fast, we've been able to go get it. Ritter's as good as anybody in the outfield. So is Brownie. So yeah, I think defensively, it's just I think behind the plate, if Kylie and Rachel and a couple other options, that's the one spot where I'm looking at who's going to win that, and because you have to have a good catcher back there. You can't just throw somebody back there and you know, hope for the best. You got to have somebody that has a clue.
You mentioned Mackenzie Lauder. You lose her as far as playing wise, but she's still on the part of the program. She's your student assistant coach, so she'll be in the dugout. What does it mean to still have her around? And is she looking into maybe getting into coaching? What does it mean to have her still around?
Just to have her around, she's a pillar of the program, and so she's somebody that we built our program around, and not necessarily on the field, where she was an excellent player. But the thing with Mac is she always did what the coaching staff told her to do. When she did it with a smile, and she did have a problem with it, or she didn't understand, she'd ask questions, and that's what you want out of a player, is just the maturity to say, okay, I trust what the coaches are saying. They've done it before. Um, or I don't understand. So let me just figure out what's going on. So to have her here is a big deal. And obviously she was one of our big time leaders last year. And just to have her bring along a kid like Kylie and Rachel behind the plate is a big deal. And because she's done it before, and she's got instant credibility, I guess.
Yeah. We had Jeff Conrad, the new North Florida head coach, on the show, and he said that you were somebody that he really like you're like his mentor in a lot of ways. You've given him advice throughout his process. Other coaches have said that you're one that have always been willing to help. Where does that come from? you being able to kind of give back, help out other people as far as in this coaching industry?
Yeah, it's weird, Eric. I mean, I'm 43 now, and I've had some people reach out to me when I was younger, just help me along, and I just feel like if people want to call me and they want to hear my advice, I'm honored by that. I'm not one, and I think everybody knows this around the country, where I'm not going to go out and toot my own horn. I don't. I do my own thing. But if somebody wants to come in and say, "Hey, man, what are you doing here?" I'll tell you. I had a really good conversation with a coach. She's not coaching anymore right now, but she called me about 2 years ago and just like, "Hey, what are you doing hitting wise?" And I talked to her for like 45 minutes, and it was a veteran coach. And but I don't go out of my way to, you know, provide and toot my own horn, I guess. But I'm always willing to help people because I got helped along the way too.
One thing you're also willing is to play anybody, anywhere, anytime. No different this year. You're going back to Clearwater for the big tournament up there. Challenging schedule. You're playing at Texas. At a tournament. Just talk about your schedule. I mean, that was. I mean, people talked about it last year. I think you had the number one strength of schedule last year, if I'm not mistaken, or at least right up there.
Yeah, last year.
And you're still doing that this year, even though you have maybe a little quote younger team in the, for example, in the pitching staff.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing. I look at our schedule. I'm like, oh my gosh. Um, I just feel like you challenge your team enough, and they're hardened by the end of the year. And so the one thing that helps us, and this helps in softball in general, is the RPI. RPI still plays a big role in rankings and all that stuff. And so you get to the end of the year and you're 500, but you have a 20 RPI, you're still in pretty good shape. And so I go into this season, and Lemley is a really good player, and so if Lemley doesn't win 20 games, I mean, we're in trouble. So it's just one of those things where play the best. Let's just see what happens, and as long as you're 500 with a really really good schedule, you should be okay at the end of the year. And then you go to regionals and see what happens.
Yeah, well, you're definitely doing that, and then the ACC speaks for itself as that gauntlet, uh, which speak to that because last year you were obviously you and Florida State are battling for the regular season title, but then everybody's chasing you down. It's like every game you're getting everybody's best. Just speak for that don't people may not be aware of the challenges that comes every weekend in the ACC.
It's every weekend now. It's not you circle a weekend and you say, "Oh, I have 3 wins here." It doesn't happen anymore. And I think with the facilities getting better, and just the more talent coming into the league, it's just like, man, there's no weekends off. And so you got Duke and you got Clemson, you got Florida State, uh, you know, Virginia's better, Notre Dame, I mean Louisville's better. It just goes on and on, and so like I said, there's no off weekends anymore. And it's great for the league. Everybody's up their game. So now it's like, okay, we get to you get to regionals and got respect, and we're all battle tested. And it's just good for the league when everybody's playing better.
Yeah, I mean, you hosted, Duke hosted for the first time, Clemson hosted for the first time, Florida State hosted, Notre Dame was in the mix
Mhm.
to host. I mean, and that could be the expectations I think for the league moving forward. Georgia Tech making the tournament, other programs trying to move up. I mean, it's a stacked league that I think should help you as far as moving forward, getting you set for the postseason in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, and then that's our goal. I don't go into the year, and I never have, saying we're going to win the ACC or we're going to win the ACC tournament. It's all right. Let's just see if we can be good enough for the top three. If you're good enough for top three, you're in the mix for hosting. You could win the league. There's a lot of luck that's involved with goals as far as trying to win a conference or trying to win regionals. It's not that easy. And you look back at plays, and I'm off a tangent now, but you look at plays last year, and there was a kid that hit a ball at Florida State for them that if it goes over the wall, they win. It stayed in. We ended up winning that game. And it's little plays like that you look back and you're like, that's a little bit of luck. And so if that ball goes over the fence and we lose and we don't win the league, do we have a bad year? No. It's just that's the way it goes. So put yourself in a position to win those games, and that's the way we handle things.
Three quick things, and we'll let you go. Instant replay. You've not now gotten you used to it in the postseason and things. What's your thoughts on instant replay, and as far as perhaps moving it to regular season conference games?
I'm fine with it. I've never, being that I support my family by coaching, I would like to take a lot of human element out of whatever, just get the call right. So, I don't want somebody else's decisions to play whether we win or lose. So, for the most part, the officials have done a really good job. I don't know if I've ever won a challenge, but you got to use them. So, hey, let's see if that was close and if that call was right. And they're usually right. They do a good job, and but I like it.
Every coach feels they never win a challenge. You're not the first coach that have mentioned that on the show. I never win a challenge.
Yeah.
Somebody must win one occasionally. Your facility's got a lot of national exposure with hosting the regionals and the super regionals. Speak to your facilities, because they got a lot of exposure nationally with hosting the regional, super regional. That's the benefit. People got to see your campus, got to see the facilities. Speak to that value of having that exposure and your facilities.
Yeah, it's pretty. Our backdrop is as good as anybody's in the country. Pine trees, and you have the football stadium in left field. You have really pretty sunsets here. Our indoor facilities is as nice as anybody's in the country, and so that's really a benefit. Now, I mean, it was 23 degrees this morning, so we were inside, but it's 45, 50 right now, so we go outside. But we can do everything in our indoor facility that we need to do as a team. You could have a full infield as the hitters hit and the pitchers pitch. You can do all of it at the same time. So it's really efficient. We try to keep it clean, but we're just very fortunate to have the indoor facility that we have. And obviously the field and all that stuff, it's a good facility to play in.
My last question, obviously, as you get set before the season starts, before you know it, here in a month, what's going to be the keys for this team to accomplish your internal goals? What are a couple key things that, hey, we need to make sure we have this buttoned up or do this if we want to do what we want to do?
Well, I think it starts with who gets the ball after Lemley. Do we have a chance to win a Saturday game in conference, or do we have to pitch Emma Friday, Saturday, Sunday? So if we have a chance or have somebody that steps up and wins that Saturday game, so to speak, that's going to go a long way for us. And I think we have those options. And then you got who's catching and who's playing center field. And so, it goes back to who's replacing Mac, Darby, and Keeley. And so those are the keys. You look at offensively, can we square up elite pitching? That's everybody. If you're trying to beat the top teams in the country, you're not getting 8 singles and beating them. Just not. So can we square them up, get the ball in the air, and try to leave every once in a while against elite pitching? And so those are the keys for us.
That's Virginia Tech head coach Pete Demore, ACC champions. Coach, always a pleasure to talk to you. Always appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. We look forward to seeing you during the season, especially hopefully cross paths in Clearwater. But in the meantime, be safe, and thanks for always taking the time to talk to us.
You got it, Eric. And next time, I might not have this beard.
That's okay.
Clearwater. If I still have it in Clearwater, I've kept my wife happy. She does not like it.
Oh, well, then you know what you need to do then in that scenario. So I better not see it in Clearwater, otherwise you might have some problems there.
You'll know.